Hey guys, the reason I'm doing this video, this is another homeschool video. If you're new to my channel, my name is Bridget. I am with Doing Life with Bridget, and sometimes I do homeschool videos, sometimes I do lifestyle videos, sometimes I'll do family adventures or travel. It's like all over the place. But a big part of my channel is homeschool. So we started homeschooling my daughter in July of this. Actually, she was like forced homeschool back in March because she was in early childhood year 3 going into pre-K year 4, and she ended up testing into kindergarten. But I wanted to, I've done like a whole bunch of videos about our homeschool journey, but I wanted to like update you guys because it has been, over the last 2 weeks, I've had to almost feel like I had to just like scrap all that I thought I knew and start over from scratch. I got around a lot of veteran homeschool mamas, and I realized that what I thought I should do and what's best for my kid, it was two different things. And so my daughter, we started kindergarten with her in July. We finished out her pre-K 4 school year. The last couple of months that she was, we were in her school virtually. That was like a disaster because 4-year-olds, they don't really do virtual very well. Unless you have one of those 4-year-olds that are like really like focused and calm. That's not Olivia. She's like all over the place. And then you have my son, who's 2, and he was just starting his early childhood program. So so we started pre-K with we did pre-K with him, and it wasn't that big of a deal with him. It was more so my daughter that I've been kind of like stressing about because she did test into kindergarten. And I had this like whole lesson plan for her, guys. Like Monday through Friday, we taught from like 10 to 12. Sometimes because she can't sit long periods of time, I would break them up into chunks of 20 minutes at a time. And we did that Monday through Friday. Then she was involved with a couple of extracurricular activities. So I would like adjust our schedule so that she could do that. And yeah, and running a whole business at the same time, like that was not happening. Like the whole thing just kind of imploded on me. I felt stressed. And she, kindergartners, they're learning how to read. So that's a huge burden for a mom to carry, like to be like, yeah, my kid's learning how to read. So I was taking on that. So I ended up going to, to a tutor and, getting around. I think the main thing I did was got around a whole bunch of veteran homeschool moms that was like, listen, you need to figure out what's best for your family, because what I was currently doing was a little stressful. And so what I ended up doing, so I was doing the Timberdoodle curriculum, and the Timberdoodle curriculum comes with a lot. So I was like, oh, we can just throw this all into a day and all of the week and just yay. It might have worked if she was like 7, 8, or 9. But we're talking about a 4-year-old that it just happens to be at a kindergarten level in a lot of areas. So what I ended up doing is, instead of throwing it all at her, I ended up scrapping the whole Timberdoodle curriculum and just taking out parts of it. And so now, and these, after like being around all these veteran homeschool mamas and they just like poured into me, this is what I've changed. We no longer school 5 days a week. We only do 3 days a week. The reason being is because in 2 weeks she starts at her co-op, which will be half a day. So from 9 to noon she's going to be at co-op in 2 weeks. So I kind of want to get her on a rhythm of knowing that Wednesdays are for co-op. So that's one of the things we did. So we took out Wednesdays. We also took out Fridays because I want Fridays to be more of like fun field trip days where we get out of the house. I'm the type of homeschool mom that I can't stay in the house all the time. I'm not super extroverted, but I feel like I have that in me, or I have to be around people at some point. And so this Friday gives me almost like an opportunity to explore what we've learned and give them opportunity to kind of spread their wings and go for it. And just like take some burden off of me. So, but on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, we do our curriculum. So I have the curriculum laid out. It's like 20-minute chunks. I don't go more than 20 minutes with Olivia. Josiah has a whole different curriculum. I usually spend about 30 minutes a day on him, 3 days a week. And when I tell you guys, we have found our rhythm. And that is the biggest thing that I learned so far being a newbie homeschooler, is you have to find your rhythm. And my rhythm looks like whatever works for our family. So what works for our family is we don't wake up super early in the morning. Like Olivia's a morning person, but I'm not, and Josiah's not, and my husband's not. Olivia's the only homeschool or only early morning person. So everybody else kind of wakes up a little bit later. So we stay up later. And so we've moved our day back. And because we're a homeschool and we have no mandates on us, we can start our day whenever works for us. So we have slow mornings, meaning I wake up, I usually have my prayer time, and I listen to a sermon while I'm preparing their breakfast. And I think that's key. I think that's key for me to kind of get my mind right in the right place. Another thing is we have our morning huddle, or whatever, or circle time as people call it, and that usually consists of a devotional, or we'll watch a Sunday school lesson from our church. That's on the video. So twice a week we'll do that. And we're going to do morning circle every single day, because I feel like for my daughter, she needs that repetition of at least the beginning of the day, of knowing what's going to happen Monday through Friday, even if we're not learning that day. Also, I decided to create a homeschool that was more like music and fine arts focused instead of curriculum focused. I'm big on art, crafts, and music, and I think that my kids are too. And so I really want our homeschool to be one that embraces fine arts, embraces music and art, and while we add in the fitness and health and wellness aspect of it. I really want to teach my kids quality things that they can learn, that they need and to learn in the world. And yes, we do have our base curriculum, but I'm highlighting the type of homeschool that I would want for my kid. Like if I had to say this is the perfect type of school for my kid, these are the things that they will be doing. I'm creating that environment home. So we do lots of arts and crafts. And I guess if you have to think about an educational philosophy, it's kind of a mixture between the Waldorf way, the Waldorf way, and Charlotte Mason. So Charlotte Mason kind of lets you kind of flow. Waldorf puts a high emphasis on arts and crafts. I'm kind of mixing those two. Those are kind of like my educational philosophy right now. And man, when I tell you, compared to last week to this week, and this is our first week doing it, it's like night and day, y'all. Like night and day how I know on Wednesdays I'll have more free time to work on my business. I know on Fridays we're going to go out. We're going to go have fun. We're going to explore. We're going to do educational fun things on Fridays. I know that it's not always just going to be a lesson that I'm teaching them, but it's going to be explorative and allow their imaginations to flourish and their love of learning to flourish. That's the number one thing I wrote down in terms of what do I want my homeschool to. I want to help them to embrace a love of learning. When they think of school, when my kids think of school, I want them to think, yes, excited, want to go for it, not, oh, I got to do my homework, oh, I got to read this book, oh, I got to do that. I want them to think, I'm excited to learn, I'm excited. So we have shifted it all, and because we're putting more focus on health and wellness in our homeschool, I'm also letting my kids, cook with me. We're going to bake together and learn about, I have a garden in the back, so they're going to learn about planting seeds and growing your own food, and then eating it and seeing the health and the process of that whole thing. That's a whole lesson in and of itself. So, yeah, I'm just kind of going with the flow. Like today, my daughter, she saw a butterfly and it was so beautiful. So she had her gymnastics class. She saw a butterfly so beautiful, and she's been talking about it. So guess what today we're going to do? We're going to create art around butterflies. And I think that'll be a great lesson to learn. We're going to learn about butterflies. And I know people, this is kind of like the unschooling way, but it's only, for me, it's only happening on Wednesdays and Fridays. It is an unschooling, and if you guys want to understand what unschooling is, go ahead and Google unschooling or deschooling, because one of the things that I had to realize is I'm not trying to recreate the school environment within my home. That is not what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do is recreate learning within my home. But what does that look like as the person that's teaching it? So my husband's going to give drum lessons to my son. We're going to put music. We're going to be researching different composers and talking about them as much as they can. But at least we'll introduce them to some classical music and composers. We're going to introduce them to Black history and really help them understand Black history from the real perspective and the truth instead of what the school system teaches. We're going to talk about different artists. Our cousin on my husband's side happens to be a famous artist, Trenton Hancock Doyle. We will be reaching out to him. I think it's Trenton Doyle Hancock. Sorry about that. But check him out. He happens to be a famous artist, and he paints and he creates and he does all types of art. And so we're going to be learning about him as an artist. And so little things like that is what I have changed in my homeschool. It's a completely different homeschool than what it was, 7 weeks ago, and definitely what it was months ago. Because in March, I just was like, let's just recreate that here. And so I created a whole homeroom, and I think the homeroom is okay, but I'm not using it as your traditional homeschool. I'm sort of homeschool room, this is where the learning takes place. It's really just a place where they could sit down for a second if they need to do some paperwork, eat, or just to have a set place for us to do circle time. But other than that, everything has changed, and I love the new format. I will start co-op in 2 weeks, so I know that I'm going to be learning even more as the co-op moms teach me and share with me all this stuff. But I'm just happy to have found a rhythm that works for our family, and I am excited about creating this learning environment that is holistic in nature, and we're going to do so many amazing things. So hope you guys come along with me. I'll be updating you guys as I go, but that's my biggest changes and the things that I learned from veteran homeschool mom. All right, have a good one.